Did you attend any of P. Diddy's parties? Were you involved in any of the freak-off?
Oprah, happy birthday.
There's an ongoing FBI investigation, and the fact that she felt the need to vanish right now, that's hard to ignore. In a strange twist, it turns out Oprah's been hiding more than just her avocado obsession.
Rose McGowan, David Letterman, and Nathan Lane are all names that have shown Oprah's true sense of being over the years, and it's time we listen to what they have to say. Rose McGowan has called Oprah Winfrey as fake as they come in a scathing Twitter post over her friendship with scummy producers who I can't even name, they're that awful. We can't even show you a picture of them, so you're gonna have to use context clues today, folks, if you don't already know the identity of the mystery people that I'm talking about. So Rose McGowan took to Twitter to speak out against the popular talk show host, sharing a photo of Oprah kissing the disgraced Hollywood producer on the cheek. Once again, we can't show that photo. So that photograph of the pair was taken at the 2014 Critics' Choice Movie Awards, if you're looking for it. Rose McGowan is a Me Too activist. She accused that particular producer of wrongdoing, and she accompanied her post with a caption reading, "I am glad more are seeing the ugly truth of Oprah. I wish she were real, but she isn't." From being pals with insert anonymous producer's name here, to abandoning and destroying victims, she is about supporting a sick power structure for personal gain. She is as fake as they come. #Lizard. Now, the victims she referred to are those of a hip-hop music mogul. Nope, not the one I talk about all the time. One who has been accused of more than a dozen cases of SA and misconduct since 2017. Now, he's responded by admitting inappropriate conduct in some instances, but disputed the allegations of non-consensual interactions. Once again, not the one I talk about all the time. Somebody different, whose name I don't think I can say either. In terms of mainstream American talk show hosts of the last 40 years, Oprah Winfrey and David Letterman are up there. They're two of the biggest names of all time. For a long time, their shows were a place in pop culture where the most influential figures in any mainstream media felt comfortable enough to throw off the cloak of privacy and be candid about their lives. You know, back before social media, we all got glued to these little devices. And even though they were both masters at conducting interviews, objectively speaking, they were locked in a strange rivalry that had a lot of people perplexed at the time. So apparently these two had a feud that lasted more than 2 decades. Oprah refused to speak to David Letterman whenever they bumped into each other. So apparently this all started when Oprah appeared on The Late Show back in 1989, and apparently that was an uncomfortable experience for her. So the crowd was angry because the night before she'd hosted a TV show about devil worshipping, which was a complete disaster due to the outlandish claims of some of her guests that she seemed to entertain, including a couple of very deranged people. So when she went on Letterman, the crowd was so heated that one guest even called on the host to, and I quote, "rip her Dave." Now, Letterman explained why he felt Oprah got so angry at him, and he thinks she resented the fact that he didn't rise to the occasion and, go after that guy. And he said, which I probably should have, but it was completely out of control and I didn't know what I was doing. Now, admittedly, the late night talk show host did not help matters because afterwards he would make quips about Oprah's feelings towards him and exaggerate the situation. Letterman even claimed he was ill because he ate clams at her restaurant, The Eccentric. She likes to forget about that restaurant. Now, Letterman later made things worse in 1995 by tearing into Oprah during his duties at the Academy Awards, because he was the host that year. He said, "I've been, itching to do something all day, and I think we can maybe take care of this," he said before introducing Oprah and one of the biggest stars of the day, Uma Thurman. He said, "Oprah, Uma, Oprah," and he quipped about their names before adding, "I feel much better. Have you met Keanu?" Now, despite all of this, and David Letterman being quite rude, apparently Oprah's real hatred started in a different moment from her appearance on his show back in 1989. So, speaking with Jon Stewart in 2010, Letterman explained that Oprah hated him after he left her with his bill at a restaurant they were both eating in. So this was apparently long before the Academy Awards. She was out with Stedman, and Letterman was with his then girlfriend Regina. They were both at a restaurant having lunch on vacation, and he said to his girlfriend, "Oh, this is hilarious. I'm gonna make Oprah buy us lunch." So when the time came to pay the bill, Letterman told the waiter, "Oh, this woman right over there has been kind enough to take care of our check." And then he and his girlfriend waved to Oprah as they left, and he said, "We got a free lunch," and apparently that's where it started. Good grief. In 1988, Elizabeth Taylor playfully shut down Oprah's attempts to get her to address dating rumors, and Oprah teased her about her refusal to give a straight answer. Now, years later, when Oprah reflected on the interview, she called it her worst. She said, "It's still painful to watch for many reasons, including my bad hair." And okay, that's a joke, but that's not actually why it's painful to watch, lady. She explained that before the interview, Elizabeth Taylor had asked Oprah to stay away from questions about her relationships. And Oprah said, "Well, that's kind of hard to do when you're Elizabeth Taylor and you've been married 7 times. And to her credit, she later apologized to me. Okay, but you still went against her wishes, so no wonder Elizabeth Taylor didn't really like you in the interview. When Robin Williams and Nathan Lane did a joint interview to promote The Birdcage back in 1996, Oprah brought up potential rumors about Nathan's sexuality since he played an openly gay character in the film. Now at the time, it being 1996 and all, he wasn't about to discuss his sexuality publicly, so Robin, being Robin Williams and an improv master, quickly changed the topic by making a joke. So fast forward, it's 2023 and Nathan Lane said, like, I don't think Oprah was trying to out me, but I did say to Robin beforehand, I'm not prepared, I'm so scared of going out there and talking to Oprah, I'm not prepared to discuss that I'm gay on national television, I'm not ready. And Robin, being Robin Williams, said, oh, it's alright, don't worry about it, we don't have to talk about it, we won't talk about it. And Nathan Lane credited Robin for swooping in and diverting Oprah and going off on a tangent and protecting himself because Robin Williams is a saint. So in February of 1993, Oprah landed the first live televised talk with Michael Jackson in 14 years. And she asked the unthinkable in this hour-long television special. So since the mid-80s, there was a lot of speculation about Michael Jackson. People were like, oh, he wants to be white. He bought the Elephant Man's remains. He slept in an oxygen chamber. He married Elizabeth Taylor. His best friend was a monkey. The monkey was telepathic. And that he was a virgin. Yeah, so Michael Jackson didn't respond to anything except for through his music. For instance, Leave Me Alone from his 1987 album Bad, which is my favorite album, was the first song in what became something of a subgenre for him. Michael taking media harassment and responding to it with music. Or at least, that was how it went until that fateful day. When sitting across from Oprah Winfrey in this special, he responded. So it's the most awkward part of the interview, and Oprah took up the topic of the singer's love life. She said, I'm gonna ask you something, and it's embarrassing for me, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. Are you a virgin? And you just feel Michael sigh. He tried to laugh it off and he replied, like, how could you ask me that question? Like, pretty much everything else she asked him falls under the long list of topics I'm not allowed to talk about. But I can say they were extremely intrusive and personal, not to forget controversial, and if I ever meet this woman, I have so many questions for her. Once upon a time, Oprah Winfrey found herself in a brand new situation. She had to apologize to her audience. Now, what did she have to apologize for? So we all remember Oprah's book club, right? Oprah's favorite things. So she had this book. She was like, oh my gosh, this author James Frey, he wrote this memoir, A Million Little Pieces. I love it, it's great. Well, when everybody found out that he fabricated parts of that mega-selling memoir, and it was mega-selling thanks to Oprah's endorsement, everybody was in trouble. So she said, I left the impression that the truth does not matter. To everybody who challenged me about this book, you are absolutely right. And you know what? In theory, good for Oprah, right? She's admitting to being wrong. But here's the thing. When I mean everybody was calling Oprah out for, the flub, I mean everybody. Like the New York Times did a report on the memoir. So Oprah didn't really have a choice. She had to apologize. Besides the initial investigation showing that the author clearly lied about time he spent in jail, various run-ins with the law, some employees at the rehab center he attended also came forward to dispute his portrait of life there. And hey, if you were one of the people begging for Oprah to apologize, you got it. But, and this is where we get into things today, she did it in a way that had a lot of folks waving red flags about her behavior. So as Oprah really dug into Frey over various moments in his memoir that had either been proven false or remained dubious, you almost felt sorry for him. Let me explain. So the audience clapped when Oprah kept spitting out zinger after zinger saying it's a lie, you presented as a false person. It was kind of hard to avoid thinking that the author was there to be put on display, not just to set the record straight, but for a public punishing, dare I say almost a witch trial of sorts? More than once, Oprah emphasized that experience embarrassed her. So her revenge was just shaming him in front of a live studio audience. And at the time, everybody was shocked. They were like, who knew Oprah was an eye for an eye kind of lady? So, my little question for you, Oprah. If you could see at the time now that everything was like a red flag and whatnot and so false, why didn't you see it sooner? Oh, and by the way, if you're looking for footage of that whole everything, it's been scrubbed from the internet. Make of that what you will.
From Janet Jackson to some of the biggest rappers in the industry, Oprah has rubbed quite a few famous people the wrong way. These are celebrities who exposed Oprah's red flags to the public. In the world of Hollywood, Oprah's relationships with celebrities have always been talked about, whether it's good or bad, and when it comes to the Jackson family, mostly been bad. Janet Jackson in particular made it very clear that she wasn't a fan of Oprah, especially after the infamous 2010 interview with her parents, Joe and Catherine Jackson. Randy Jackson, Michael's brother, was the first to make his opinion of Oprah known, tweeting angrily about Oprah, writing, I know how Oprah feels about my brother and family, going on to accuse her of making Michael look bad in public by airing old footage of his 2005 trial. He even went as far as claiming Oprah, quote, wanted to see Michael in jail. Janet Jackson also went after Oprah. When Oprah was granted access to Michael's former home to interview his kids, Janet wasn't happy. The Jackson family had long known that Michael didn't really trust Oprah, especially when it came to his family, so Michael had made it clear that he didn't want them exposed to the public eye. So you can imagine how the family felt when Oprah pushed ahead with filming an exclusive interview with his kids. Janet was reportedly furious about this, believing Oprah was using Michael's family for ratings, which, I mean, not much speculation there, that's clearly what's going on. A source close to the Jacksons told the National Enquirer that Janet called Oprah out during a heated phone call, at one point saying, quote, Oprah, you make me sick. And yeah, can't really blame her there. Oprah had crossed a line. The Jacksons felt like they were being used as pawns in Oprah's media chess game, and it was clear that Janet in particular wasn't having any of it. She wasn't the only one upset though. Later, Michael's brother Jermaine took to Twitter criticizing Oprah for blindly supporting the Leaving Neverland documentary, which reignited old accusations against Michael. He tweeted, so many in media, including Oprah, blindly taking Leaving Neverland at face value. We faced similar graphic claims, plus trial by media in 2005. Jury saw through it all. Trial by law proved Michael's innocence long ago. Now, not too long ago, Ice Cube shared some personal grievances about being snubbed by two major TV outlets, Oprah Winfrey's show and The View. Now, during an appearance on Tucker Carlson, which oddly enough he was on there, Ice Cube shared his thoughts about his attempts to get on both programs, only to be turned down. According to Cube, his exclusion wasn't just about his work, but his political views. He said, I tried to go on The View, they didn't have me on The View, adding that producers told him some of the hosts simply didn't like where he was coming from. He went on to say, I've been on there before, it's just when I become an independent thinker, I don't follow their brand of politics, I guess. Cube also pointed the finger at Oprah, claiming she's had issues with him for years. I've been excluded on Oprah, he went on to say, recalling how he was left out of promotional opportunities for his projects. One glaring example was the time he produced Barbershop, a movie he felt deserved a spot on Oprah's show, but he was left off the guest list. I wasn't invited to participate with the cast, he said. And it wasn't just Barbershop. Cube also produced the show Black White, and Oprah interviewed the full cast, but again, minus Cube. He said, she had the whole cast on, and I wasn't invited, so I don't know what that's really about. Ludacris didn't have a very good time on his Oprah appearance in the mid-2000s, describing it as uncomfortable. He didn't shy away from sharing the details either. He was on to promote the movie Crash, an Oscar-winning film centered around racial discrimination in America. While on the show with his co-stars, Oprah took the opportunity to address some issues that she had with his music, specifically the use of the N-word and derogatory language towards women. Now, according to Ludacris, Winfrey's questioning felt more like an interrogation than an interview. In a GQ interview after the show, he talked about how uncomfortable the entire experience left him, saying, quote, she edited out a lot of my comments while keeping her own in. Now, of course, it's her show, but we were doing a show on racial discrimination, and she gave me a hard time as a rapper when I came on there as an actor. Things didn't really get any better either. Ludacris said Oprah then pulled him aside for a quick private chat, saying, after the taping, she pulled me into a room and we had a 5-minute conversation. What I got was that by having rappers on her show, she feels like she's empowering them. The conversation left him feeling like an outsider though, especially because the vibe of the whole show had left him feeling so off. Ludacris went on to say that being on the show was like being at someone's house that doesn't really want you there. Oprah later defended herself and made it clear that she didn't have a problem with rap music as a whole, but that while she respected the freedom of artists to express themselves, she had concerns about content that could marginalize certain groups, particularly women, saying, I don't want to be marginalized by music or any form of art. I'm a woman who has worked very hard for my status in the world, and as a human being, I feel rap is a form of expression, as is jazz. I'm not opposed to rap. I'm opposed to being marginalized as a woman. Ludacris and Oprah didn't have any kind of feud after this though. It was awkward, but that was really about it. For this next rapper though, not quite the case. 50 Cent did not hold back when talking about how he feels about Oprah Winfrey. In his book Hustle Harder, Hustle Smarter, he talked about how he initially wanted to appear on her show to impress his grandmother and prove his success, but Oprah publicly slammed his lyrics, calling them misogynist and accusing him of glorifying violence. He wrote, she was completely against everything that was in my music, so she ain't never going to have me on that show. I'm never going to reach that platform, which is confirmation of being a huge success. This was a turning point for 50 Cent, leading him to jokingly say, "If we can't be friends, then at least let's be enemies." He even named his dog after Oprah apparently and poked fun at her fan base, saying that they were mainly just elderly white women. So yeah, there was some tension to say the least here, but 50 did say later he and Oprah became more cordial, but he still disagreed with her criticism, saying, "Are you going to tell a painter what to paint? I'm an artist. Why am I limited to what you feel should be said?" Then in 2019, 50 took to Instagram to talk about Oprah again, talking about how she, quote, "goes after black men," referring to her involvement in the essay allegations against Michael Jackson and Russell Simmons, while being totally silent about men like Epstein or that major film producer with the initials HW who basically kicked off the Me Too movement. I wonder why that is. Oh. Yeah. Also in 2019, Monique took her turn calling out Oprah. It all started back when Monique was promoting her Oscar-winning role in Precious. Oprah did an interview, but not in the way you're thinking. The interview was with Monique's brother, Gerald, who had mistreated her growing up. And Monique, in a now deleted Periscope video, admitted that she had given Oprah her blessing to talk to Gerald, but what she didn't expect was for Oprah to bring her parents, Stephen and Alice, into the mix. Monique was shocked and horrified when they appeared in the audience for the interview. In the video, Monique said that Oprah crossed a line by involving her parents in something so personal, explaining that it was one thing for Oprah to interview Gerald, but the public display with her parents was another. As she said in a later interview, "Oprah didn't just interview my brother, she had my parents there too, and that hurt my heart." While Monique tried to move past the issue and even forgive Oprah, the scars from that betrayal were deep. A source told Radar Online in 2010 that Monique was still holding onto a grudge against her parents too, believing they hadn't fully acknowledged Gerald's mistreatment of her. The source added that even though Monique had forgiven Oprah, she couldn't let go of the hurt from her family's role in the drama, and that grudge, she said, could, quote, "go to the grave." Alright, we've dumped on Oprah quite a bit, but here's a situation where she was clearly the victim. Joan Rivers was never one to hold back. If she didn't like you, you'd know it. Her beef with Oprah was no exception, and it really didn't take long for this little feud to become a thing. Rivers actually started it on Oprah's first ever national TV appearance on The Tonight Show in 1985. Oprah, in her book Food, Health, and Happiness, talked about the moment, writing, "It was all going smoothly, I was starting to settle in, and then it happened. Joan interrupted with perhaps the only question I hadn't prepared for, so how'd you gain the weight?" Oprah was understandably taken aback, continuing, "Wait a minute, did she just use my national television debut to ask me why I was so fat?" She added that Joan wagged her finger and told Oprah, "I don't want to hear your excuses. You shouldn't have let this happen. You're still a single girl." Yikes. And things didn't even end there. Joan took it up a notch, challenging Oprah to come back 15 pounds lighter next time. Jeez, yeah. Joan Rivers was just savage. Funny, but she had her not so great moments, no doubt. Now, according to some sources, Joan wasn't just playing the tough love card here. She allegedly couldn't stand Oprah, calling her completely opportunistic. One insider claimed that Joan says Oprah is the biggest phony in the world, feels Oprah's real gift is exploiting people's suffering and emotions and turning them into TV ratings. And she's not entirely wrong there. I think people like Dr. Phil are way worse in that regard. And I mean, Jerry Springer. My God. At least Jerry wore it on his sleeve though. That show was just so in your face offensive. There was no hiding it. You got what was on the tin. But anyway, totally fair for Joan to call her out for that. But calling her fat on national TV, that was pretty low.
Oprah Winfrey is a global icon, known for her impactful roles in films like The Color Purple and Selma, her influential talk show, and her philanthropic efforts, including donating $500 million to various causes. While she has touched the lives of millions, not everyone in the entertainment industry is eager to collaborate with her. Over her 5-decade career, several celebrities have had disagreements or conflicts with the Queen of Talk. Here are some notable figures who have reportedly refused to work with Oprah Winfrey. Starting off today, we are talking about Monique. Monique's clash with Oprah Winfrey is one of Hollywood's most gripping tales of friendship gone awry. Picture this. Monique, fresh off her Oscar win for Precious, is on top of the world. She had always admired Oprah, seeing her as a mentor and a beacon of empowerment, but things took a very sharp turn when Oprah decided to air a show featuring Monique's family, a family fraught with painful memories. Oprah invited Monique's brother, who had admitted to harming her, for an exclusive interview. Monique had reluctantly given her blessing for this, hoping it might bring healing to others. However, what she didn't expect expect was for Oprah to also invite her mother and father onto the show without her knowledge. Learning that her estranged parents were part of the episode felt like a gut punch. Monique was blindsided and felt deeply betrayed. She believed that Oprah had exploited her personal trauma for television ratings, turning her most vulnerable moments into sensationalized content. It wasn't just about the interview, it was about trust being shattered. Feeling cornered, Monique began to speak out. She accused Oprah, along with industry giants Tyler Perry and Lee Daniels, of blackballing her in Hollywood. She claimed that after she refused to aggressively promote Precious without additional pay, they labeled her as, quote, difficult, a tag that can be career-ending in showbiz. According to Monique, these powerful figures used their influence to sideline her, effectively putting her in what she called a, quote, Hollywood prison. In her stand-up routines and in interviews, Monique didn't hold back. She called out Oprah by name, making it crystal clear that the wounds were deep and the bridge was burnt. To her, Oprah wasn't the inspiring figure the world adored, but someone who had betrayed her trust and derailed her career. Next up, we are talking about 50 Cent. When it comes to celebrities who can't stand Oprah Winfrey, 50 Cent definitely has a spot on this list. The rapper, born Curtis Jackson, has never been one to hold back his opinions, and his long-standing feud with Oprah is no exception to that. It all started when he noticed that hip-hop artists were notably absent from her show. Feeling snubbed, he publicly criticized her for not inviting rappers onto her platform, accusing her of catering exclusively to a white, middle-aged female audience. In a bold 2006 interview with Elle magazine, he didn't mince words, calling her a, quote, Oreo, a term suggesting that she was black on the outside but white on the inside. But 50 Cent didn't just stop at words. In a move dripping with his signature sarcasm, he named his pet dog Oprah, turning his personal jab into a daily reminder of their beef. The tension between them became a hot topic, highlighting a clash between two influential figures from very different worlds. Fast forward to 2012, and Oprah decided to extend an olive branch by interviewing him at his grandmother's home. Sitting down in a setting far removed from the glitz and glamour, they had a candid conversation about their differences. 50 Cent expressed that he felt she was against his music and the culture it represented, shedding light on why he felt marginalized. The interview was definitely a turning point, showing that even the biggest feuds can find some kind of common ground. Still, the journey to that moment was filled with sharp comments and pointed gestures that kept fans and the media buzzing. Next, we are talking about Chris Brown. Chris Brown's clash with Oprah is a compelling chapter in the saga of celebrities who can't stand the media mogul. After the shocking incident in 2009 where Chris harmed his then-girlfriend Rihanna, the world was buzzing with outrage and a ton of disappointment. Oprah didn't stay silent. She dedicated an entire episode of her show to discuss the serious issue of DV. She made a powerful statement, quote, if a man hits you once, he will hit you again. While many applauded her for addressing the topic head-on, Chris took it personally. He felt singled out and believed that Oprah was indirectly attacking him without giving him a chance to explain or redeem himself. What stung even more for Chris was that he had previously performed at Oprah's Leadership Academy for girls in South Africa. In his mind, they had a cordial relationship, and he expected a bit more support, or at least neutrality from her. He expressed his disappointment publicly, saying that he felt let down by someone he thought was in his corner. Chris believed that Oprah could have used her influential platform to help him learn and grow from his mistakes, rather than, as he saw it, adding to the public condemnation. This feeling of betrayal, fueled by his resentment towards her, landing him squarely on the list of celebrities who can't stand Oprah Winfrey. Next, we are talking about Whoopi Goldberg. Whoopi Goldberg and Oprah Winfrey. Two iconic figures who both dazzled audiences in the 1985 classic The Color Purple, had a surprising and long-standing estrangement that left many fans puzzled. Despite sharing the screen in such a beloved film and being national treasures of the same age, the two didn't speak for years afterward. The tension became public when Whoopi was noticeably absent from Oprah's star-studded Legends Ball guest list in 2006, raising eyebrows and fueling rumors. So, what happened between the two? According to some, including author Kitty Kelly, professional jealousy might have played a role. Whoopi snagged an Oscar nomination for Best Actress for her role in The Color Purple, while Oprah was nominated for Best Supporting Actress. This difference in recognition could have created an unspoken rift between them. Imagine being part of such a groundbreaking film and then feeling overshadowed. That's definitely enough to strain any relationship. But here is where the story takes a heartwarming turn. Years later, during a reunion of the Color Purple cast on Oprah's show, the two finally addressed the elephant in the room. At a party hosted by their mutual friend Tyler Perry, they had a candid conversation. Oprah reportedly said, "You think I'm mad at you? I thought you were mad at me." They both realized that years of silence were based on a simple misunderstanding. All it took was an honest chat to clear the air. They laughed about how a single conversation years earlier could have saved them from a lot of unnecessary distance. This tale of miscommunication between Whoopi and Oprah adds another chapter to the list of celebrities who haven't always seen eye to eye with the Queen of Talk. It's a reminder that even the biggest stars can have misunderstandings, and sometimes all it takes is a conversation to set things right. Next up, we are talking about David Letterman. David Letterman and Oprah Winfrey, two titans of television, had a legendary feud that spanned more than 20 years, and it's a story filled with humor, misunderstandings, and a touch of awkwardness. It all supposedly kicked off in the late 80s with a prank that didn't quite land as Dave intended. Imagine them both dining at the same upscale restaurant. Ever the prankster, Letterman thought it would be hilarious to tell the waiter that Oprah would cover his check. So, when the waiter presented Oprah with the bill for both tables, she was less than amused. That little joke didn't sit well with her, and it planted the seed for years of tension. Fast forward to 1995, and Letterman is hosting the Oscars. He opens the show with a famously awkward bit: Oprah, Uma. Uma, Oprah. The joke fell flat, and many felt it was at Oprah's expense. She wasn't thrilled about being the punchline on such a grand stage, and the media buzzed about a growing rift between the two. For years, they avoided each other, fueling speculation and turning their estrangement into one of Hollywood's most talked about feuds. In 2005, Oprah decided to break the ice and appeared on The Late Show to address the situation head on. Sitting across from Letterman, she said candidly, "I have never for a moment had a feud with you. I want you to know it's really over, whatever you thought was happening." It seemed like they were finally burying the hatchet, but here's where it gets even more interesting. Later on, Oprah revealed that her discomfort actually dated back to 1989 when she was a guest on Letterman's show. She felt blindsided by the audience's reaction, which she believed was influenced by a controversial episode of her own show that had aired the day before. She left that interview feeling uneasy, and those feelings lingered for years. From Dave's ill-timed jokes to Oprah's lingering discomfort, their complicated relationship is a tale of how small misunderstandings can escalate even between the biggest celebrities. Next, we are talking about James Frey. James Frey believed he had struck literary gold when Oprah selected his memoir, A Million Little Pieces, for her esteemed book club. Suddenly, his raw and unflinching tale of addictions skyrocketed to the top of bestseller lists. But then, the unexpected happened. Investigative journalists uncovered that Frey had fabricated and exaggerated significant portions of his true story. When Oprah discovered the deception, she felt personally betrayed, and she wasn't about to ignore it. In a gripping and unforgettable episode of her show, Oprah invited Frey back for a public confrontation. Sitting face to face, she didn't hold back. Quote, "I feel duped," she told him candidly. Quote, "But more importantly, I feel that you betrayed millions of readers." The audience was utterly silent as Frey squirmed under her intense gaze. The showdown was dramatic, unfolding before millions of viewers. The fallout was swift. His publisher dropped him, bookstores pulled his book from the shelves, and his reputation took a serious hit. Although they eventually reconciled years later, the damage was already done. Frey experienced firsthand the immense influence Oprah wields and the consequences of falling out of her favor. It's no surprise that he remains one of the celebrities who can't stand Oprah Winfrey. His story is a stark reminder: crossing Oprah can leave you exposed under a very unforgiving spotlight. While Oprah Winfrey remains a beloved and influential figure, her interactions with these celebrities highlight that even the most admired individuals can have conflicts and misunderstandings.
Oprah isn't exactly known for being a nice person, but Cindy Crawford, Elizabeth Taylor, and even the Olsen twins had interactions with her that left a lot of people feeling kind of awkward watching them. So when Oprah interviewed Cindy Crawford and elite model management founder John Casablancas back in 1986, she had the model stand up so the audience could see her body. Well, when Cindy was reflecting on the encounter 37 years later on a show called The Supermodels, she was like, yeah, I was to be seen and not heard. And when you look at it through today's eyes, Oprah was saying, stand up and show me your body. Show us why you're worthy of being here. Now in the moment, Cindy didn't really realize and she didn't recognize it. And watching it back, she was like, oh my gosh, that was so not okay, especially from Oprah. When you consider Oprah's history with body image and how much of her platform has revolved around it, yeah, really not okay. When Robin Williams and Nathan Lane did a joint interview to promote The Birdcage back in 1996, Oprah brought up a lot of rumors about Nathan's sexuality, since he played an openly gay character in the film. Now at the time, he wasn't ready to discuss his sexuality publicly, so Robin thankfully quickly changed the topic by making it a joke. On a 2023 episode of Sunday Sit Down with Willie Geist, Nathan said, I don't think Oprah was trying to out me. Alexa speaking, I think she was. But Nathan said to Robin beforehand, I'm not prepared. I'm so scared of going out there and talking to Oprah. I'm not prepared to discuss that I'm gay on national television. I'm not ready. And Robin was like, oh, it's alright. Don't worry about it. We don't have to talk about it. We won't talk about it. And he mentioned how Robin swooped in and diverted Oprah and went off on a tangent and protected him because Robin was a saint. Loved Robin Williams. Never heard a bad thing about him. In 1988, Elizabeth Taylor playfully shut down Oprah's attempts to get her to address dating rumors, and Oprah teased her about her refusal to give a straight answer. Reflecting on the interview, which she called her worst years later, Oprah was like, oh yeah, it's painful to watch. For many reasons, including my bad hair. Oprah, it's hard to watch for other reasons, not just your bad hair. Now, she explained that before the interview, Elizabeth Taylor specifically asked Oprah to stay away from questions about her relationships. And then Oprah was like, well, it's kind of hard to do when you're Elizabeth Taylor. You've been married 7 times. To her credit, she later apologized to me. Yeah, in private probably. I'm sorry, I think women should have as many relationships as they want, as many marriages as they want. Go nuts! In February of 1993, Oprah landed the first live televised talk with Michael Jackson in 14 years. She asked the unthinkable in an hour-long television special, which portrayed an eccentric but vulnerable star. To understand the enormous buzz that an interview with Michael Jackson generated in February of 1993, you gotta understand the context, folks. Since the mid-1980s, people speculated that Michael Jackson wanted to become white, that he had bought the Elephant Man's remains, he slept in an oxygen chamber, he married Elizabeth Taylor, he suffered from anorexia, his best friend was a monkey, the monkey was telepathic, and that he was a virgin. Never before had a celebrity provoked so much fascination or so many utterly bizarre headlines. Michael Jackson had never responded to anything, except through his songs. For instance, Leave Me Alone, one of my personal favorite songs, from his 1987 album Bad, was the first song in what became something of a subgenre for him. Michael taking media harassment and responding to it through his music. And that's how it went until February 10th of 1993, when, sitting across from Oprah Winfrey in an ABC Live special, he responded. According to Oprah, this conversation was unscripted, uncensored. After addressing how Michael felt going from an adorable prodigy and growing up through the industry, she laid the groundwork to address the singer's controversial physical appearance. And then after that, she was firing away. She was like, oh, is it true that you sleep in an oxygen chamber to stay eternally young? Did you buy the Elephant Man's remains? She went through a litany of crazy headlines, all of which Michael Jackson was like, nope, absolutely not. They did talk about facial appearance and presentation as well. And in the most awkward part of the entire interview, Oprah took up the topic of the singer's love life. She said, I'm gonna ask you something, and it's embarrassing for me, but I'm gonna ask it anyways. Are you a virgin? Michael sighed. He tried to laugh it off, and he replied, how could you ask me that question? Pretty much everything else she asked him that's controversial falls under the long list of topics I'm not allowed to talk about. But I can say they were extremely intrusive and personal, not to forget controversial. And it kind of just really shows Oprah's true colors. She wants the headlines. So let's talk about other members of the Jackson family for a moment. While Janet Jackson was okay with being interviewed owned by Oprah Winfrey after Michael's passing, she was horrified when her brother's immediate family was called on the show. She saw that as Oprah using his family as a means to boost her ratings. And there are reputable sources that have reported that there was an intense conversation between Janet and Oprah, one that created a lasting tension and hatred, and rightfully so. When you look at everything else we've talked about today so far, to me it seems like Oprah really just does care about the ratings and being in the spotlight. On a 2021 episode of Literally with Rob Lowe, Oprah said she made a big mistake when she asked Sally Field, "Hey, does Burt Reynolds sleep with his toupee on?" Then the actor went cold, and Oprah was like, "Oh yeah, I even say now, like I cringe to even think why I asked that question, but I asked it because the producers are like, you have to ask, you have to ask, you have to ask. That's what everybody wants to know." Well, Sally shut down and Oprah could not get in again. Look, I don't know. I'm not an interviewer, but I think there's a lot more eloquent ways that topic could be broached if you need to ask it. Yes, I know Oprah is not known for her subtlety. I think we've established that by now. But still, time to go back in time to 2004 when Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen were the biggest thing in media, and Oprah had them on her show because that's what you do. They had a media empire. At the time of the interview, rumors have been circulating that Mary-Kate was suffering from an eating disorder. And later that year, she did spend time in a rehab facility to receive treatment for a health-related issue. Good on her for taking care of herself. But Oprah said, point blank, "Oh, I know there's a rumor that's recently surfaced that upsets you, right? You know, the one about eating." Which also, the fact that it upsets you, maybe we shouldn't bring it up. And Ashley quickly jumped in to try and shield her sister, saying, "Yeah, you know, people are gonna write what they're gonna write. We try not to read the good or the bad because it just comes with the territory. Either you're too fat, too skinny, and people are just gonna write what they..." And she was interrupted by Oprah. She didn't give it a chance to finish it or try to distract. Oprah was like, "Well, what size are you, by the way?" And you could see both sisters looking extremely uncomfortable. And Ashley once again tries to deflect. She's like, "Size? Like we're both petite." And it's fair, they were very. And then Oprah was like, "Oh, that's so interesting." She's like trying to joke it off, the fact that she interrupted and is just being very pushy. She's like, I'm obsessed with size." And you're like, "I really don't know." And then Mary-Kate pipes up because she knows that she's the one who needs to speak, sadly. And she's like, "You know, I really don't know. If we were obsessed with our size, it'd be like, I don't know, a different story." Like, take a hint, Oprah. Move on, find something else. Most recently, Toni Braxton took aim at Oprah, alleging that the TV titan was mean to her way back in 1998. Toni was having some financial problems, and Oprah was like, "We're gonna poke at this." She said that the chat on TV severely damaged her reputation because Oprah made some choice remarks about overspending, which was around the time when Braxton declared bankruptcy. So this all came to light in a taped interview for VH1. It was a behind the music special, and Toni said, "She was so freaking mean to me, I was in shock." And this is the funniest statement, folks. She said, "I hear you have Gucci flatware. I'm Oprah Winfrey and I don't have Gucci flatware." And Toni was like, "Well, you don't have Gucci flatware because you didn't want to buy it. It's not because you couldn't afford it." And Braxton was like, "Yeah, she made me feel this big." Like, okay, great. You don't have it. I don't have it. Big whoop.
Past scandals and now everything going on with Diddy have painted America's favorite talk show host in a bad light. Stick around for some evil things Oprah has been publicly accused of. The Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls scandal certainly isn't the first scandal attached to Oprah's name, but it certainly was the biggest. The Leadership Academy was originally designed and created to be a place to uplift girls in the community, but the good deed was quickly tarnished when the dorm matron was accused by multiple students of acting inappropriately towards them. The matron was arrested and faced 14 charges. In addition to those of inappropriate physical contact, the matron was accused of getting into a physical confrontation with a dorm parent and separately injuring 3 people while operating a golf cart. Adding more fuel to this fire, Oprah was later sued by the school's headmistress for over $250,000 on grounds of defamation. This was a direct result of this situation with the dorm matron. While that legal battle was happening, Winfrey had publicly commented that she was doing a complete overhaul of the school and that she had lost confidence in the headmistress. The headmistress claimed that these statements made it harder for her to find work afterwards. Court papers from the case read that Winfrey had originally intended to hire nurses to be the dorm matrons. However, the headmistress went a different route and, according to an article from CBS News, hired 8 young women from a local company called Party Design. Winfrey's lawyers at the time wrote about this, saying these young women were later found to be totally unqualified to handle the position, something the headmistress had been warned about. The 2 women were expected to settle this in court, but instead came to an agreement privately shortly before that date. Today, though, there is a brand new scandal being tied to Oprah's name. She has recently been accused of aiding disgraced rapper Sean Diddy Combs and making his sins happen over the years. You might recall that Sean Diddy Combs is in some boiling hot water right now after multiple people have stepped forward accusing him of engaging with them and others without consent, making people consume things unknowingly, force people into unwanted scenarios, film and use the footage from filming inappropriate parties he called freak-offs as blackmail to keep keep it all on the down low, and just generally being a really awful person, and definitely not the kind of guy you'd want your name attached to. Unfortunately for Oprah, that is actively happening to her now, since she has attended Diddy parties in the past. The thing is though, half of Hollywood has appeared on a Diddy guest list, but not everyone has been to a freak off. Diddy was known as the party host in the 2000s. He hosted the white attire parties, massive birthday celebrations, after parties. They were known for being extravagant and expensive, and everyone wanted to attend. Allegedly, sometimes the after party for these events were freak-offs, but many news publications report that by the time a party descended into a freak-off, the big names had already left. However, people aren't just accusing Oprah of attending freak-offs, but also aiding and putting them on. Some sites even saying that she provided the people. Some people even going so far as to claim that Diddy's home was connected to Oprah's via an underground tunnel system, and that's how they did it. As of right now, this is not true. The claim that tunnels were discovered in Diddy's home was proven false. But Oprah's tunnel accusations don't just have to do with Diddy. People have accused Oprah of being part of a larger, multiple parties involved kind of situation that is similar in theme to the Diddy stuff, that directly linked her to some nefarious alleged activity involving forcing younger individuals into bad situations. Surprisingly, one woman claims not only is Oprah involved, but that she has the address to a tunnel entrance. Adria English filed a lawsuit against Diddy claiming she worked for Combs at the Hamptons and Miami parties he threw in the mid to late 2000s. She claimed that the drinks she was given on the job had other things in them that she didn't want. In addition to allegedly being forced to consume things, English claims she was also forced to engage in inappropriate acts she didn't want to do. While initially having legal representation, Adria English and her legal team parted ways. The cited reason is irreconcilable differences. The filing read that they disagreed regarding almost every aspect of the litigation. One of the lawyers claimed that they never lost faith in her case, just in her, and that her case was great. The issue at hand was that English allegedly undermined their work, went behind their backs, doing things incongruent to advancing her case. To which English has allegedly responded with, "I'm the client, you work for me." Another major point of conflict between English and her representation was that they requested that she refrain from speaking to the media. Pretty soon after parting ways, English spoke to independent media, and the interview made its way around TikTok gossip pages. This is when English claimed that there were tunnels under Oprah's home. She also made the bold statement, she sees what's going on because she's a participant. Now, was all of this true? As of right now, again, no credible news sites have been able to find information confirming this. In fact, some websites like Snopes.com have looked into the tunnel rumor and have stated it false. Now, I don't want to say that Adria English is lying, just that the information hasn't been officially confirmed. But Diddy isn't the first time Oprah has found her name tied to some questionable characters. She was famously close to the man who also had a very public falling out with Hollywood after his past transgressions came to light. Name rhymes with Starvey, anyways you get it. Oprah was seemingly publicly called out by Seal on Instagram for her past relationship to this person. The man posted a picture, the top image showing Oprah kissing the other man on the cheek with the text, "When you have been part of the problem for decades," and then the bottom image showing the man engaging in conversation with Oprah and another woman, this one with the text, "But suddenly they all think you are the solution." Seal added his own caption to the photo, calling out an individual for hearing the rumors but not doing anything about it, and implying that the person was pretending that they didn't know what was happening. While Seal didn't explicitly name names, there were faces in those pictures, particularly Oprah's, so everyone assumed he was taking a dig at the talk show host. Seal insisted this wasn't the case, it just happened to be Oprah that was the one in the picture with the man. It was more about the man in the picture than the talk show host, and this text was to be taken as a generalization of the entertainment industry rather than a direct attack. And finally, a popular new Netflix show has dug up an old Oprah controversy. Season 2 of Netflix Monsters crime drama anthology was based on the Menendez brothers case. Already, the show has its own controversies to deal with, but it took some outside parties down with it, including popular TV show host Oprah. She was accused of being dismissive and acting horribly in regards to the whole situation. Back when the actual trial was taking place in the 1990s, Oprah brought on one of the original jurors, Hazel Thornton. She gave Thornton a chance to speak on her experience and clear up some of the false facts that were being reported in the media, like how the jury was deciding between acquitting or charging. Thornton insists this wasn't true, and the jury was always in agreement to charge. The disagreements came down to the severity of that charge. The interview also featured Catherine Cryer, a journalist and state judge in Texas. Cryer and Oprah appeared to agree more than Hazel did. Cryer had made the claim that the defense used psychological manipulation on the jurors by putting nice, articulate, wealthy young men in, and this next part was stressed, in sweaters crying on the stand. There was a really big focus on the fact that the brothers were wearing nice sweaters for some reason. Catherine Cryer further explained her claim, stating that whether the defense is successful in making the jury more sympathetic to the accused by using aesthetics and gentle language, it is a common tactic used. Pryor also brought up tapes that revealed that this tactic was something that the brothers and their representation plan to use. Thornton was not given further opportunity to speak on this. As the show came back from a commercial break though, Oprah and Catherine again spoke on how common it is to see a difference in someone's appearance from the arrest to the court appearance. Oprah segued the conversation back to the Menendez topic and then gave the floor back to Thornton to clarify her stance. She was quick to reestablish that in the first case the prosecution didn't make its case, and in the second case they'd had it down. Oprah then went on to share the piece of the story that affected her the most and was the main reason why she didn't believe any of the brothers' tearful testimonies. It was because of the account that when police first arrived at the home, the brothers were out on the lawn crying hysterically. She said, they were crying hysterically when the police came. Whatever that means. Hazel Thornton did gently come back at Oprah with, don't you think that you'd be kind of freaked out if you just ended somebody? And the 5-second long silence that came after that said it all. Now that this clip is viral again, people are calling her insensitive and uninformed, that she shouldn't have even covered the case on the show in the first place. And then Catherine Pryor said that the boys should have just left if they were experiencing extreme levels of harm at home, which prompted Thornton to shut down that argument by citing the months and months of psychological explanations from professionals that herself and the jury received, and just stating that the defense provided enough to give the jurors reasonable doubt. Due to the nature of the content with this particular case, people called out Oprah for championing herself as a person that supports victims, but then was acting this way when it came to the brothers. Oprah has found her name tied to Diddy in recent months after people noticed how comfortable she appeared with the rapper in party snapshots. Now she has been accused of aiding disgraced music artist Sean Diddy Combs and making his transgressions happen over the years. You might recall that Sean Diddy Combs is in some serious trouble right now after multiple people have stepped forward accusing him of engaging with them and others without consent, forcing people into unwanted scenarios, and making people consume things unknowingly, filming and then using that footage from inappropriate parties that he called freak-offs as blackmail to keep it all in the down low, and just generally being a really awful person, and definitely not the kind of guy you'd want your name attached to, especially not if you're someone as famous as Oprah, who has established themselves over the years as someone in firm support of the Me Too movement and being a beacon of hope. Unfortunately for Oprah, she was spotted at Diddy parties of the past, and it is coming back to haunt her. The thing is though, many big Hollywood names have appeared on a Diddy guest list, but not everyone has been a guest at a freak-off. Diddy in general was known as the party host in the 2000s. He hosted the white attire parties, massive birthday celebrations, after parties. They were known for being extravagant and expensive, and everyone wanted to attend. It was a status symbol to be around that much wealth. Allegedly, sometimes the after parties for Diddy events were freak-offs, but many news publications report that often by the time a party descended into a freak-off, many of the famous names had already left. But people aren't just accusing Oprah of attending freak-offs, but also aiding in putting them on. Some sites even saying that she provided the people. Some people even go so far as to claim that Diddy's home was connected to Oprah's via an underground tunnel system, and that's how they did it. And that's a serious thing to say, but Oprah's tunnel accusations don't even just have to do with Diddy, and they didn't start with him either. People have accused Oprah of being part of a larger, multiple parties involved kind of situation that is similar in theme to the Diddy stuff, that directly linked her to some nefarious alleged activity involving forcing younger individuals into bad situations. Surprisingly, one woman claims not only is Oprah involved, but that she was given the address to a tunnel's entrance. Adria English filed a lawsuit against Diddy, claiming she worked for Combs at the Hamptons and Miami parties he threw in the mid to late 2000s. She claimed that the drinks she was given on the job had things in them that she didn't ask for. In addition to allegedly being forced to consume things, English claimed she was also forced to engage in actions she didn't want to do. Adria English did have legal representation, but unexpectedly, her and her team parted ways. The cited reason was irreconcilable differences. The filing read that they disagreed regarding almost every aspect of the litigation. One of the lawyers claimed that her case was great. The issue at hand was that English allegedly undermined their work and went behind their backs, doing things incongruent to advancing her case. That they never lost faith in her case, just in her. And to which English allegedly responded with, "I'm the client, you work for me." But how does this tie back to Oprah? Well, another major point of conflict between English and her representation was that they requested that English refrain from speaking to the media. Pretty soon after parting ways, English spoke to independent media, and the interview made its way around TikTok gossip pages. English claimed that there were tunnels under Oprah's home. She also made the bold statement, she sees what's going on because she's a participant. As of right now, no credible news site has been able to find information confirming this or a tunnel system under any of Oprah's properties. In fact, some websites have looked into the tunnel rumor and stated it false. I'm not saying that Adria English is lying, just that the information has not yet been officially confirmed. But Diddy isn't the first time Oprah has found her name tied to some questionable characters. She was famously close to the man who also had a very public falling out with Hollywood after his past transgressions came to light. Name rhymes with Starvey, anyways you get it. Seal publicly called out Oprah on Instagram for her past relationship for this person. The man posted a couple of pictures featuring Oprah interacting with the man, the text reading, when you have been part of the problem for decades, but suddenly they all think you are the solution. Seal added his own caption to this photo, calling out an individual for hearing the rumors but not doing anything about it, and implying that the person was pretending that they didn't know what was happening. Sure, Seal didn't name names, but he did post faces, particularly Oprah's. Everyone assumed he was taking a dig at the talk show host. Seal insisted this wasn't the case, it just happened to be Oprah that was the one pictured with the man. It was more about the man in the picture than the talk show host in the picture, and the text was to be taken as a generalization of the entertainment industry rather than a direct attack. However, people weren't quick to forget it. In fact, this spurred some folks to look closer into the relationship between the two major celebrity figures. One Quora user named Marina Kane made a startling connection between the two parties. Back in 2019, two documentaries with similar themes premiered at the Sundance Film Festival, but only one seemed to earn positive reviews and media coverage. One doc was about the previously mentioned producer, and the other doc was about Michael Jackson. A Hollywood entertainment lawyer made the bombshell claim that the producer and Oprah helped fund the Jackson documentary to draw focus from the one about him. In my own research about this, I was unable to find anything solid confirming this, just what Oprah said about why she provided financial support to the other one. She said she believed the survivors and that the issue was too important to stay silent. A few years ago, a major scandal revealed that Oprah was not as involved with her Leadership Academy as she made it seem. The Leadership Academy was originally designed and created to be a place to uplift girls in the community, but the good deed was quickly tarnished when the dorm matron was accused by multiple students of acting inappropriately towards them. The matron was arrested and faced 14 charges. In addition to those of inappropriate physical contact, the matron was also accused of getting into a physical confrontation with a dorm parent, and separately injuring 3 people while operating a golf cart. Adding more fuel to this fire, Oprah was later sued by the school's headmistress for over $250,000 on grounds of defamation. This was a direct result of the situation with the dorm matron. While that legal battle was happening, Winfrey had publicly commented that she was doing a total overhaul of the school, that she had lost confidence in the headmistress. The headmistress claimed that these statements made it harder for her to find work afterward. Court papers from the case read that Winfrey had originally intended to hire nurses to be the dorm matrons. However, the headmistress went a different route, and according to an article from CBS News, hired 8 young women from a local company called Party Design. Winfrey's lawyers at the time wrote about this, saying these young women were later found to be totally qualified to handle the position, something the headmistress had been warned about. The 2 women were expected to settle this in court, but instead came to an agreement privately shortly before the date. One feature on Oprah's show later came back to bite the host when it was revealed that the star of that segment was accused of over 600 instances of physically engaging with people without consent. The man was called John of God, and he ended up receiving hundreds of years in prison for those charges, among other things. Oprah happened to give this man a spotlight moment during her programming years prior. It framed him in a good light and made him appear as a miracle worker. Since the accusations, his interviews were deleted from her site and a note was put up in their place with the message that Oprah hoped justice would be served. Oprah spontaneously revealed a shocking secret back in 1995 during a segment on her show. While interviewing 4 mothers who were dealing with issues using substances, Oprah suddenly revealed that she related to these mothers more than anyone could have guessed. The TV star admitted that she also used the substance in question back in the day. The woman woman being interviewed at the time often referenced Oprah's honesty and strength, and it appeared that the comments touched Oprah deeply, and she couldn't help but reveal to the mother that they were more similar than she thought. The host said, "This is probably one of the hardest things I have ever said. I relate to your story so much. I have done this. I know exactly what you are talking about." At the time of admission, it had been about 2 decades since Oprah used the substance, but it's clear that it was always weighing on her. She said, "That is my life's great big secret that has always been held over my head."
If you haven't noticed lately, almost everyone has been hating on Oprah Winfrey. Why? Well, it has to do with past interviews, her beliefs, and her overall attitude. As we all know, the presidential election in the United States was last week, and Kamala Harris had a lot of celebrities promote her and go to her rallies. Now, one celebrity who endorsed her was Oprah, but the Washington Examiner had reported last week that Oprah's media company, Harpo Productions, had received a fee from Harris's campaign for the star-studded live interview in September. Now, the price tag, $1 million. Now that is just crazy, and it has people upset at the star. Well, Harris's campaign sent out a bunch of messages to civilians asking for donations for the campaign, and fans are not happy that some of their money went to Oprah, who has a net worth of $3 billion. Yes, billion with a B. Now, you'd think Oprah would make an appearance out of the goodness of her heart, but no. One person on Twitter said, "Just embarrassing that anyone thought that Lady Gaga or Oprah were going to swing enough voters to justify this is insane." Someone else said, "All of it is so slimy and disgusting. At Oprah is so utterly repugnant." A third said, "Those performers should be ashamed of themselves. This is Trump-level grifting and is just one of many reasons you'll never see me donate a penny to a politician." Yeah, this is honestly just wrong. It was then said that Oprah donated $150 million to the campaign, but that was false too. Nicole Nichols, a spokesperson for Oprah, told USA Today the show has not donated to Harris's campaign. No donations to Harris from Oprah or her company Harpo Inc. are listed on the Federal Election Commission website or Open Secrets, a nonpartisan research group that tracks US political spending. Then there was the whole Maui Fund. Again, this has to do with money, and you would think with Oprah being a celebrity for so long, she would know how the world would perceive her with all of this, but I guess not. In early August 2023, a series of wildfires broke out in Hawaii, predominantly on the island of Maui. The wind-driven fires prompted evacuations and caused widespread damage, ending the lives of at least 102 people and leaving 2 people missing. Now, in light of the tragedy, Oprah and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson took to Instagram and TikTok, and in a video they introduced their new collaboration, the People's Fund of Maui. They said that their relief fund was intended to raise money for Maui residents who had been affected by the tragedy. In the video, the pair cited Dolly Parton as an inspiration for their new venture. They claimed that because people were confused about how to help Maui residents, they sought to create a fund that would directly provide residents with relief. In the lengthy caption, the pair wrote, "We're honored to announce the People's Fund of Maui, a fund putting money directly into the pockets of those who were affected by the recent wildfires. As we have seen firsthand, the impacts of these wildfires have been devastating, and we're here to ensure with 100% guarantee that your donations will go directly into the hands of Lahaina residents." Now, after this was launched, people started questioning why celebs were asking everyday people to donate instead of their celebrity friends or even them just funding it themselves. Again, Oprah has a net worth of $3 billion. Now people started calling them out on social media, and instead of taking this critique, Oprah hit back and made things worse. All the online conversations being slammed, the lies, conspiracy theories really took the focus off of what was the most important thing, and that was the people of Maui, Oprah said on a CBS Mornings appearance. "I was on the ground talking to a lot of people, trying to figure out how do I best help." Oprah and The Rock thought about how they had both given to charity their whole lives and felt like starting with a $10 million donation worked because it was enough to kick things off before opening the Maui wildfires funds up to people who wanted to help but didn't know how. "I was so excited about it, then I got up the next morning and I saw all this vitriol and I was like, whoa, what happened here?" she said. But yeah, people were angry, which I don't blame them for, because honestly, what the heck. Then there's the whole thing with her weight. Throughout her career, Oprah has always been made fun of for her weight. It was a public sport to make fun of me for 25 years. I have been blamed and shamed, and I blamed and shamed myself, she said. Now, one controversial moment regarding her weight loss was in 1988, when she unveiled her new slim figure by taking off an oversized coat and wheeling out a wagon holding 67 pounds of animal fat, the amount she had lost in less than 5 months. Now, the episode drew huge attention, earning the highest ratings in the show's history. However, years later, Oprah expressed regret about it, saying that it was simply an ego trip and admitting that she eventually regained all the weight. Now, Oprah was also a brand ambassador for the brand Weight Watchers. Now, Weight Watchers was already controversial for its weight loss program, but Oprah stood by it, always promoting it. Things took a turn though in 2023 after it was said that she was using an unnamed weight loss drug, and that's how she was able to lose a lot of weight. So it wasn't the program that she had been promoting for all those years, which made a lot of people feel lied to, and they say that Oprah cheated with her weight loss. Then in 2024, Oprah decided to step down and stop working with Weight Watchers altogether. Many people are saying that she's a sellout and that everything she ever stood for was a lie. And hey, I can't blame people for getting upset over this. It's very likely that she's taking Ozempic or something Ozempic adjacent, which is all the craze with celebrities right now who are trying to lose weight. I understand why people are so upset about this, as Oprah claimed for years that a specific weight loss program was working for her, but it was all due to medication. And then there's the fact that she's had certain guests on her show who people believe shouldn't have had a platform. Oprah made Dr. Oz famous as she made him a regular guest, promoted his books, and endorsed his advice on her show. As the Washington Post reported though, Oz provided a platform for potentially dangerous projects and fringe viewpoints aimed at millions of viewers, according to medical experts, public health organizations, and federal health guidance. Now, less than 1/3 of what he says on his show can be backed up by even the modest medical evidence, and nearly 4 in 10 of the assertions made on the show appear to be made on the basis of no evidence at all, which is not good at all. Now, with Oprah helping launch his career, he has hurt a lot of people with his fake medical advice. Now, someone else who's in the same situation is psychologist Phil McGraw, aka Dr. Phil. Dr. Phil first came on the Oprah Winfrey Show in 1998 and soon began appearing in a regular Tuesday segment to offer relationship and life strategy advice. In 2002, he launched his own syndicated daytime talk show, Dr. Phil, a spin-off of his segments on Oprah's show, which was produced by her Harbo Productions. It has been exposed that Dr. Phil is not a real doctor anymore, and that what he does to help people doesn't actually help, it just exploits them. He's been accused of sending teens to horrible facilities to quote-unquote help them, as wilderness programs, also known as the troubled teen industry, are places that are designed to provide participants with a series of physically challenging outdoor activities designed to prevent or reduce delinquent behavior. And let me say, Dr. Phil has often sent young teens from his show to a wilderness camp called Turnabout Ranch. Now, many former students of these places who call themselves survivors have begun to create online communities to support one another and speak out on their horrific experiences, claiming that they suffered mistreatment at these camps and were left with PTSD, some even taking their own lives afterwards. Still, with all this evidence, Dr. Phil still sends people there. If Oprah had not made Dr. Phil famous, so many people's lives could have been saved, as it appears he's done more harm than good.